most of our people in finance, the CFOs and others that we know generally are always trying to do more work than they really have the capacity to do, because most companies don't exactly overinvest in the size of the accounting and finance team. So if somebody is wondering what the benefits of doing this are versus the more urgent compliance and reporting and control requirements they have, what would you tell them about why this is a worthwhile exercise to do?
This is a good question. I think everything gets viewed with a certain level of urgency, and that's only increased, I think, over the last couple of months. I would say if you're asking me to defend a cash flow forecast, it's that it is probably the core analysis. You think about what is the thing that keeps the light on is cash, right? At the end of the day, that's going to be as important, and I'd say probably more important than any sort of traditional forecast or view on a prior period. Both of those are great to have, but you really do want to have a very certain idea of how long your cash is going to last and what your capital needs are. So obviously it's a little self-promotional, but I'd say put it at the top of the list.
Yeah, I agree. It is self-promotional, but I think you're also right about that. Somebody once told me a long time ago, they said the number one rule in business is never run out of cash, which probably sounds obvious, but what I have found that, first of all, we know you can grow yourself right out of business if you're not properly capitalized and financed. The second thing is that, particularly in the middle market to lower middle market, I think many companies don't realize that you don't want to wait till the last minute to find out that you need to go raise more cash, because by that time, there are all kinds of bad things that can happen, including ending up losing operating or equity control of your enterprise to your lenders, for example. So it's important to identify points in the future when cash might be at a premium well ahead of time. That's one thing. The other thing I would say is that one of the greatest gifts a CEO or CFO can have or give is the gift of peace of mind. And so, I know that when we headed into this, one of the first things we did as a firm was build a very robust cash flow forecast. And so that even though we don't know with certainty how the economy is going to perform over the rest of the year or how our business will perform, we're quite confident we have a very long runway to operate, pivot the company if and as necessary, and adjust the size of the enterprise if we need to do that. So it gave us the mental space to take the time to plan deliberately and let things play out. So we were in a position from a financing cash perspective that we didn't need to make any rash, deep, or dramatic cuts in the organization. So that was good for us. And I think any company should have that, because it tells you what if you have a 1-year planning or 5-year planning horizon, but you've got 6 months of cash, that doesn't work very well. So I just think it's a responsible thing. So I think that every company, in the same way that one of the analogies you gave me, I know that you did a long project for a client of ours in the electric vehicle space, is that, knowing exactly how much charge is left in your battery and how many miles it will get you is a lot better than wondering with some degree of imprecision. And I think the same thing is true for an organization with regard to cash. So Mitch, I want to thank you for, did you want to add something else?
I just wanted to add on to that, and you made a comment, and it's worth pointing out or re-highlighting, is that getting this as early as possible is always better. Similar to the car example you just said, you want to know the news as early as possible, because the longer you wait, the fewer options you have. And so if you find out you have 1 week of cash left, there's very little you can do, and your hands are going to be very forced as to what your possible remedies and actions are. The earlier you can find out that there is a potential crunch or problem, it gives you a lot more greater flexibility to make decisions that are good for the company long run versus having to make last minute drastic measures.
That is correct.